The first reading is from Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 through 7. Now the serpent was more crafty than any other beast of the field that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Did God actually say, 'You shall not eat of any tree in the garden'?" And the woman said to the serpent, "We may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden, but God said, 'You shall not eat of the fruit of the tree that is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch it, lest you die.' But the serpent said to the woman, 'You will not surely die, for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil.' So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves loincloths. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The psalm is Psalm 32, verses 1 through 7. You are a hiding place for me. You preserve me from trouble. Blessed is the one whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Blessed is the man against whom the Lord counts no iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no deceit. For when I kept silent, my bones wasted away through my groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy upon me. My strength was dried up as by the heat of summer. You are a hiding place for me. You preserve me from trouble. I acknowledged my sin to you, and I did not cover my iniquity. I said, I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgave the iniquity of my sin. Therefore, let everyone who is godly offer prayer to you at a time when you may be found, surely in the rush of great waters. You are a hiding place for me. You preserve me from trouble. You surround me with shouts of deliverance. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and will be forever. Amen. The second reading is from Romans chapter 5, verses 12 through 19. Therefore, just as sin came into the world through one man, and death through sin, and so death spread to all men because all sinned. For sin indeed was in the world before the law was given, but sin is not counted where there is no law. Yet death reigned from Adam to Moses, even over those whose sinning was not like the transgression of Adam, who was a type of the one who was to come. But the free gift is not like the trespass. For if any died through one man's trespass, much more have the grace of God, and the free gift by the grace of that one man, Jesus Christ, abounded for many. And the free gift is not like the result of one man's sin, for the judgment following one trespass brought condemnation, but the free gift following many trespasses brought justification. If because of one man's trespass, death reigned through that one man, much more will those who receive the abundance of grace and the free gift of righteousness reign in life through the one man, Jesus Christ. Therefore, as one trespass led to condemnation for all men, so one act of righteousness leads to justification and life for all men. For as by the one man's disobedience the many were made sinners, so by the one man's obedience the many will be made righteous. This is the word of the law. Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew, the 4th chapter. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And after fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. And the tempter came and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command those stones to become loaves of bread." But he answered, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God. Then the devil took him to the holy city and set him up on the pinnacle of the temple and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, He will command His angels concerning you. And on their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him, "Again it is written, You shall not put the Lord your God to the test." Again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, "All these I will give you, if you will fall down and worship me." Then Jesus said to him, "Begone, Satan, for it is written, You shall worship the Lord your God, and Him only shall you serve." Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and were ministering to him. This is the gospel of the Lord.
To let you know, the words are not printed for the hymn, so you need to look in your book.
That's good to know. 569, LSB. Grace and peace. God our Father and His Son, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. I love the last hymn. It's not a familiar hymn to us, that is, but it really covers very nicely our text for today. It's beautiful, absolutely wonderful. And then you're going to get in the habit of singing hymns off of the hymnal, by the way. I think that's an important thing for us to do, is to learn how to use that book. You've had it for years. And most of them have never been opened. So we're going to learn that, okay? So, take a deep breath. Lord, this day is something else. I woke up about 4 times last night, just I don't know why. The Lord is stirring my pot. That's a good thing. But one thing I did read yesterday afternoon as I was going through these texts one more time, it reminded me that every year at Lent, during the first part of Lent, I read Bob Fulker's book on what I really need to know I learned in kindergarten. And I know I've used it twice before, but you're going to get it the third time. I think it's important because for me, Lent that story and that book reminds me and refreshes me as I begin to travel down this Lent experience. I take it seriously. You know, a lot of pastors go, oh my gosh, now it's 2 sermons a week. Well, yeah, it is. It really is. But it's a special time. Not just to be preaching and to be part of services, it's also a special time for us as individuals to take a look at who are we? Lent is a time to open our hearts to ourselves and to see who we are as we walk our life of faith. Lent is important for me in terms of that book because it reminds me very, very special that the things I learned in life, I did not learn in seminary. I didn't learn in grad school. I didn't learn in college. I didn't learn in high school, elementary school. I learned it in the sandbox in kindergarten. And if you really take the time to think about all that, wouldn't you maybe some of you can't even remember kindergarten years. They were special times for me. They were good. In my hometown, it's a big white house. I've shared that before. I know I have. But I always stop there and look. I just look. There's all it began for me 60-some years ago. And that place is still standing there, and they're still having kindergarten classes there, What'd you learn? What'd you learn in the sandbox? Well, that's pretty nice. I learned things like playing fair, clean up your mess after you get done with it. Sometimes I think about that too. I told my son-in-law, would you pick up your tools when you're done with them? I find them all over the property. He bought my property. They're all over the place, skill saws, lay it out in the rain. I learned that in kindergarten. You learn to pick up after yourselves, Don't hit. Oh man, there's sometimes I learn to smack somebody. I tell you, sometimes you like to really, really smack people. But say you're sorry, and if you say you're sorry, then hold hands. That's a big thing in our family. If we say something wrong, and I usually do, and I'm usually called out for it, because my kids and my wife are way above my pay grade, I say I'm sorry, okay? I also learned this is for some of you, I never went to party in the sandbox. The teacher got really upset when he did that. That was not a good thing to do. Oh, you guys aren't even laughing because you probably did that, too. I know. I had a sandbox in my other house, and my dogs did. They didn't care. And they didn't apologize either, so. And I can say that if we learned our life, how to live in the sandbox, and I did, I certainly did. Jesus learned his hard lessons in the wilderness. That's where he was. Today he's in the wilderness. His hair was barely dry when he stepped out of that water, the Jordan River, and off he went into the wilderness. Now we think, the wilderness, okay. Is it like here? No. Is it like the Amazon? No. What's it like? It's a desert. Desert. Dangerous desert. That's where he went. Now, you got to ask yourself, could you walk out there for 40 days and 40 nights? I'd be terrified of all the snakes that were out there. Lord have mercy. I have dreams about that. I have a bad habit of watching these guys go out catching these pythons out in Florida, and how they do it. Now, oh, gosh, Lord, and you walk. Is there a python under the table there? Wouldn't that be terrifying? I was often telling my wife I'd like to move to Florida. She goes, you wouldn't move to Florida. That's why I said, remember when you were in Florida last time for your uncle's funeral? And you walked out on that pier. What was out on that pier waiting for you? The water moccasin. Sitting right there waiting for Daddy to come home. So, none of that stuff. There's Jesus out in the wilderness. And one of the things he went out there for was to be tempted. 40 days and 40 nights. And temptation is a word that I think all of us understand that very well. And we deal with it every single day in our life. It hangs around us like a bad cold. Everything we know about temptation, we learned in the same place that Jesus learned it, and that was in the wilderness. In our lives, we have it all the time. I can stop here for 2-3 minutes and just stop and think, okay, when was I tempted last? There's just sitting there like good Lutherans. I mean, smiling, because you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I was tempted not to come to church.
So was I. Some days I don't feel like coming. And well, my point is, who am I going to call to do it?
I came anyway.
Karen, what are you laughing at? How do you do it? In fact, I told you today Bible study class. You're preaching today, remember?
Yeah, I forgot.
Oh, okay. All right. You gotta watch. I feel kind of loose today. Sometimes I feel like this. And as we walk through life, we spend some time there in that temptation place. What I call the desert places of our life. And all of us have been there. Come on. Some of us are still going through it. There's fear, there's the desolate places of dreams lost. You know, we start off in life when we're teenagers. Remember when you were a teenager? Oh, never mind. I've asked you that question. You don't even remember that far back. You can remember when you were a teenager?
Oh, yeah.
You know, you had big dreams. You had these big dreams. You want to be this, you want to do this, you want to do this, and you want to do that. And as the years go on, that circle gets smaller and smaller and smaller until finally you reach a point in your life where you settle for that. Could be a lousy wife, could be a lousy husband. There's plenty of those out there, both sides. You know, the job you have, it could be anything, but just settle for a life. Sometimes you find yourself, without warning, unemployed. Just like that. Bam, you're gone. You know, you're only worth as much as it costs to replace you. That's what a good job is. That's why I've never had a job. Well, you can call this a job in many respects, but you know, I've never worked for somebody. I've always owned it. So I could stay home if I wanted to, but I really can't, you know, oftentimes. But I've lived most of my life, my working life, I've always worked for myself. So I understand that. So I can't fire myself. But sometimes the world wanted to, you know. And so we never planned to go to any of these places. We're just thrown at them by life. How about marriage? Marriages. Marriages are amazing. I've been married to my wife for 40 years, May 3rd. I'm excited about that. 40 years, one woman. Can you believe that? I even smile at you. What's the matter with you guys today? Are you kind of dulled down or what? You know? 40 years. I told her that we were sitting there watching a movie late last night, and I said, 40 years with you? Lord have mercy. Oh, but honey, I had 40 years with you too. You weren't always a bed of roses. I got it right back. But you know, sometimes in marriages, you can have those kinds of moments. That's kind of fun. But sometimes the purpose of the vitality ends, and you feel lost. And there are times when we go home and we just sit down in your comfy chair, nice glass of wine or a cup of coffee, a little slice of cheesecake. I say that because there's one in my kitchen right now waiting for me to come home. I'm not supposed to eat it, but I will. And you sit there and you wrap the blanket around, my 2 pugs crawl up on my lap. Wow, that's like heaven. If I could go right there, that's heaven. A cheesecake, a glass of wine, or a good cup of coffee, a nice warm blanket, and 2 pugs. This is the way of the wilderness. This is the way of temptation. 40 days Jesus was in that wilderness. 40 days he was fasting without food. That'd be tough. Lord. Especially those of you who have lunch and then you ask, what's for dinner? I like that. Beef for dinner. Something for dinner. My gosh, you know, those are 40 days when Jesus was famished. You know, he was tired and the devil came to him. Absolutely. Keep in mind that the devil is not scary. I want you to understand that. He is not somebody that's scary, will scare you after that. He's not some big slimy slime ball out there. No. Shakespeare said this. The Prince of Darkness is a gentleman. A gentleman. You understand? You know, he'll never scare you to death. Jesus was not tempted to not be bad. But he was tempted to compromise his integrity and take the easy way out. That's what his temptation was. And that's what for us, life is sometimes like that for us. It's a dry wilderness of uncertainty. And sometimes we feel as though we're hopeless and life is not moving us in the direction that we want. Not knowing who we are and how, here's the key question, how we fit in. Sometimes you feel a little uncomfortable in certain situations and you wonder if you really fit, you know. For myself as a pastor, I have to get to know you right off the bat. My most uncomfortable time in a church is when I come for the very first time. Very first time I stand out here, because most pastors don't like to stand out here. They like to stand up there, where they're protected. There's cheesecake and wine up there, and a radio that very quietly plays your good music. But that's my most uncomfortable time. And my other most uncomfortable time is when I leave. Very uncomfortable, because I never want to leave. You get so attached to the people that are part of your ministry. I know when I left our Redeemers, what's the name of that church again? I forget the churches I've read. No, I'm teasing you. It was a hard time for me to leave, especially when they have a party or something, you know, and you get all people saying, good luck to you. I hate that word in the church. There's no good luck in church. Are you kidding me? You know, there's blessings. There's blessings. But I hated to leave our Redeemer. I should still be there. So she's going, yes. She's been working this. We were a team, weren't we? We were a team.
Yes.
We were a team. Absolutely. You know, I had a great time with you, sweetheart. Great time. But I hated to leave. It was so uncomfortable. I didn't want to leave. Just didn't want to leave. I can go back through all my churches I've served, and I still don't want to leave. So I keep them on my cell phone. Every name is on my cell phone. When you call, I knew it was you, Sandy, right off the bat, you know, because there was a number. The struggle that we have in life about over anything, I'm talking about me, and that's not fair. It's not fair. You talk about things about yourself, and you struggle with that. And that, I think, is what Lent ought to be for us. I hate people, what do you give up for Lent? I said, I'm going to give up you. Anybody who says that is going to stop doing what they were doing in 2 more weeks. I'm giving up ice cream for Lent. The heck you will.
Yeah.
You know, my wife did that. She said, honey, would you fix me a bowl of ice cream with a little caramel nuts and whipped cream on top? Okay, Lent queen. You know? But no, what you feel about those things, and you ask those questions about your temptation, this is what you should talk about yourself. Think about things in your life. So the way of the wilderness is about temptation, confrontation. But here's the key word for us. Perseverance. Perseverance. I'd love to be able to tell you that Jesus was able to say that Jesus' temptation ended with the devil's downfall. When the devil left us. No, not at all. It didn't happen that way. If you read scriptures, you understand. Look at verse 11. Verse 11, report, the devil left him. I like that. Left him. Not because Jesus defeated him, not at all. He simply retreated to come back another day to get after you. See, he couldn't get Jesus, he knew that. So let's go around Jen. Smart guy. Or her. I didn't think the devil was a girl. The devil's a woman. Has to be. I knew I'd get a rise out of that one. Has to be, because you're so good at it. I better stop right now. I'm just kidding. Love to get you guys to go in here. But the devil's perseverance has got to be matched by our own. Our desire to live as a called, redeemed child of God. And that's being a participant in God's amazing grace. Wow! That's exciting. That's really exciting. It's almost like being called, you know, when you're in grade school, when you lined up 2 groups and the 2 captains would call out, and you didn't want to be the last one to be called, did you? How many were ever the last one to be called? Did you ever play that game? means you were no good. That's what it really meant. You always want to be called first, but you're on my team. Okay. Felt good about that, see? And that's the way we ought to feel about that. We're part of God's amazing grace team. That's exciting to me. Luther carved into his desk. There's a little bit of a Latin I'm going to teach you right here. It's called Baptizatus. Yeah, Baptizatus. I don't say this very often. Baptizatus Sum. And that means I'm baptized. And for Luther, that was absolutely everything in his life. He was baptized. And that's important. That was Luther's strength. That's my strength. I don't remember when I was baptized, but I knew I was. And that's my strength right there. That's why it sits right there. I put it there because I have to walk by it before. Now I can look at it all the time. And it antagonizes people who wouldn't have to go around it. I love that. Baptism is something that antagonizes and wakes you up. Absolutely. And that was Luther's strength as well. That's his wilderness days right there. That was his sandbox. Remembering who he was, drawing on his faith as a child of God. And we're the result of that. That's who Lutherans are. It's our strength. It's where we get our strength. Matthew's words ends on a high note. Look at verse 11. And behold, angels came and waited on him. We were going to have a nice Bible study class today, but we got off on a tangent, didn't we? Say yes. Yes, we did. Big tangent. Way out there someplace. But I wanted to talk about that. Are there angels? Yes. Oh my gosh. Here's a question that's not even in my notes. Do you know who your angel is? Ooh. Do you know his name? Her name? It's important. You probably think I'm nuts. Well, I am anyhow, so who cares about that? But the fact of the matter, and I learned that lesson a long time ago, and I shared this with you. I know I have. Because to me, there's no doubt there is angels standing by to do no less for us. Well, I walked into my youngest daughter's room when she was just a little bit taught. He's 24 now. Lord, what happens? True, they do grow up. And they move beyond 17. And my daughter's not 24. She's a dream of my life. All of them are, but I remember she called my dad, come in here, I want you to meet somebody. I walked in there and she's there in the corner in the rocking chair there's my angel dad. Okay. Dad, you're a pastor, you should know that. Okay, honey. What's it look like? Oh, he's a big man. He's a big man. He's got a smile on his face. He's looking right at you. Sure he is. And then I sat down and talked to her, and then I realized something. It's children who know those things. You know? They reach a point, an age of reason where we think they become adults. No. They lose. They lose the gift of innocence and become like us. Dad, my angel's always there for me. And we talk about that from time to time. She shared that with me. She had a name and I forgot what it was. Oh, it was Biffy. Biffy was the saint's name. Is there any Saint Biffy? We ought to change Faithful Savior Lutheran Church to Saint Biffy Lutheran Church. You know what we're talking about. But here's the point. You know, I always asked her about that. And then when she was about 9 or 10, we were in the room, we were rearranging some stuff. And we're packing up because we're ready to move to another house. We're big at movers back in them days. And I says, where's your angel? And she says, what angel? Amen. May the peace of God, which passes all our understanding, keep your hearts and your minds. Christ Jesus our Lord. And as you go home today, I want you to sit down. I want you to wait while you drive. I don't know if you can do this when you're driving. You know, men can't do this. They can't do two things at one time. Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. My wife can sit there and sew, knit, and all that stuff, and watch TV and do something on the computer. Way above my pay grade. Let's stand and confess our faith in the words of the apostles. I believe in God, the Father Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, and in Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, who was conceived by the Holy Spirit, born of the Virgin Mary, suffered under Pontius Pilate, was crucified, died, and was buried. He descended into hell. The third day he rose again from the dead. He ascended into heaven, and sits at the right hand of God the Father Almighty. From thence he will come to judge the living and the dead. I believe in the Holy Spirit, the Holy Christian Church, the communion of saints, the forgiveness of sins, the resurrection of the body, and the life everlasting.